Trevor Lawrence went in and carved up that Broncos defense. Like, that renowned Broncos defense didn't give up 34 lucky points. That renowned Broncos defense got their asses kicked at home by the Jags. There is no way to couch that other than that. We want to talk about going on a run. Like I mentioned, well, yeah, Trevor Lawrence has been hot, but they played really bad teams. Nope. I watched Trevor Lawrence against the Broncos in Denver, and I thought, nope, he's hot. He's hot. They figured it out. It took a minute for this offense to click. But, man, the way that Jags offense looked specifically against the Broncos in Denver, I think that was the most impressive win of the weekend of the Saturday-Sunday slate. I think that was the most impressive win. I think it's the biggest statement we've had over the weekend in the AFC, and I think it really is an awakening moment. Like, guess what? If you are not getting on the Jags bandwagon at this point, you need to. Because if we're going to say why not New England, why not Buffalo, why not Denver, then my question is why not the Jags? They certainly, that defense is playing well enough. Trevor Lawrence is hot enough. Liam Coen has done Coach of the Year work. I'm in. The Jags could go on a run too.
Why not? Why not the Jags? And I'm guilty of this. None of us are innocent in this. We make up our minds about coaches, teams, quarterbacks, players in general. And then we put them in that little compartment, in that little box. And we are so hesitant to change our minds. I think we need to have this conversation about Bryce Young. We'll get into the Panthers in just a bit. We all wrote Bryce Young off. He got benched for Andy Dalton. And we were like, okay, sucks, bust. We're not going to open up, or we're maybe so hesitant to open up our eyes and our minds about maybe Bryce Young just needed a little bit of time. Same thing with Trevor Lawrence. And look, I say, if you don't do it by year 3 or year 4, when are you going to do it? And I think that's part of it, that we've seen Trevor Lawrence in the league now since 2021, and we've made up our minds about Trevor Lawrence. But I think if you just peel back the layers a little bit, you see, okay, well, Trevor Lawrence's rookie season essentially ruined because they made maybe the worst coaching hire in the history of the NFL, bringing in Urban Meyer. And then you have a new coaching staff come in, a new system, a new offensive coordinator. And then he has his third head coach and third offensive coordinator, third offensive identity in 5 years? That maybe what Trevor Lawrence was lacking wasn't the talent, because we know Trevor Lawrence has talent, wasn't the football IQ. We know Trevor Lawrence has that. We've seen that at the college level. Maybe what Trevor Lawrence was lacking was 1, stability, and 2, a coach that just understands him and puts him in the best positions to be successful. We can't ignore the beginning of the season where Trevor Lawrence was shaky. This Jags team was shaky. But when you want to go on a run of the last 4 games, and you have 13 touchdowns and 0 picks, you go into Denver against that defense, and you don't just win. You whoop them. You whoop up on them for a big part of 4 quarters. I think that's enough for me to say that my mind is officially changing on Trevor Lawrence. Am I going to put him in that elite category? Not quite yet. But if Trevor Lawrence continues to play this way, why aren't the Jags a Super Bowl contender? Why aren't the Jags the best team in the AFC? Feels gross. Feels weird saying it, but am I wrong in saying that the Jags?
That's why it feels gross right there.
That's
it's just because
gross.
every time I just think of that creepy. No, I mean, look at the numbers yesterday: 23 of 36, 279, 3 touchdowns in the air, 1 touchdown on the ground for Trevor Lawrence. But here's maybe the most impressive stat to me if you're stat watching. He was sacked 5 times. So let's not get it twisted. They got after Trevor Lawrence. That defensive line did what Denver's defensive line did. There were plenty of plays in that game where I felt like Trevor Lawrence was off schedule, off rhythm, was a little disrupted. And what usually happens in that situation? Young quarterbacks particularly just look to run their way out of it, or they suddenly lose sort of sight of the mechanics and they try and push the ball the wrong way because they've got people at their feet all day. Trevor Lawrence did none of that. And that might be the most impressive part to me. And to your point, I think one thing I said a lot about Caleb Williams that I did not, and this is my mistake, I did not apply this to Trevor Lawrence. When Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson came together, I kept screaming to everybody on this show and everywhere else that you need to have some patience for love language. Like, coaches and quarterbacks need to speak the same love language. It takes a minute to learn it. If ever everybody that watched the quarterback series, remember watching, Kirk Cousins talk about the call that he wanted to come to, or Jared Goff was talking about the call he wanted coming up because he knew Ben Johnson's language enough to know what play needed to come up next, right? It takes a minute for guys to get on the same page. I think I forgot that with Trevor Lawrence because my expectations for Trevor Lawrence have been so high and because he's already been paid. So all of a sudden you think, well, it's going to be an immediate return. What we're seeing right now is that it's not an immediate return. It just takes a second for a quarterback to get comfortable in an offense. And now that they have that comfort, yesterday wasn't their best day running the football. And they turned around and they needed Trevor Lawrence to go off. And he did. And again, he did it against the Broncos. And he did it in Denver, a warm weather team in a cold weather city in the environment of the Broncos. They handled everything that Denver could possibly give them. I walked away from that saying, if there's any team we learned about today, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. And we learned that while maybe not everybody's paying attention to them, we damn well should be.
Is Liam Coen Coach of the Year?
Why not?
Duval.
Why not?
That's why. That's the only reason why.
You're right. He didn't win the press conference, so we don't love him. But you're right. When you look at the job that he's done, and then this is the other part of it. When you look at how good that defense is, like he nailed his coordinator hire. He nailed this defense, which early in the year was so turnover happy, dependent. Maybe I didn't think that would sustain, but look at him yesterday. I mean, yeah, why not Liam Coen?
I would say why not Liam Coen? The only pushback I would have is Ben Johnson. Because the job that Ben Johnson has done with Caleb Williams, with this Bears team, and also let's not ignore the fact that it's the Chicago Bears. That carries a little bit more weight than the Jacksonville Jaguars. No disrespect to Jacksonville. It is what it is. The market size is a realistic thing. But we talked a lot about Coach of the Year. Mike Vrabel, I think, should be in the conversation as well. Ben Johnson, obviously, as I just mentioned. Nobody's talking about Liam Coen in that regard. And why not? Maybe it's because, and look, I'm guilty of it. I totally and completely kombucha girl memed the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, no, that doesn't feel right. But they are good. But no. I'm just so hesitant. We all are so hesitant to change our minds about the Jags. But I think we need to step back and see the job. That was me yesterday. That's my full Jags experience. That we need to acknowledge that the Jags very well might be the best team in the AFC. Why not the Jags? There is not one single elite, trustworthy, unbeatable team in the AFC. This is a new hierarchy in the AFC. So it can be anyone's for the taking.
Yeah, we are in this spot where I will remind everybody.
I can't do that this early in the morning.
I mean, we're not going to have a choice. I will remind everybody the Texans still have a shot at the number 1 seed. That's how wide open the AFC is right now.